Ladies and gentlemen, something very interesting is taking place. It's a public relations stunt, and it's a public relations stunt by Andrew McCabe's legal team. Andrew McCabe's legal team asks Justice Department if grand jury rejected charges in his case. So they tried to dissuade the Justice Department and William Barr and attorneys, U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu, from continuing or going ahead with criminal prosecution. They tried to say, well, can you throw out the case because there's no evidence? That was denied. Their requests and their attempts to throw out the case, the case against Andrew McCabe, was denied yesterday. Tom Fitton stated the indictments are going to take place. The indictments will take place. The indictment will take place. However, this is a pretty interesting public relations stunt. They're saying, well, what's going on? We were there Thursday, right after our appeal was denied, and the grand jury didn't indict our client. Therefore, we want to know if there was a grand jury that was given evidence on the case, and we want to know if the grand jury decided that our client, Andrew McCabe, shouldn't be charged with criminal acts. However, there's an interesting Washington Post article, and it says, in emails Thursday to U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu and other prosecutors in her office, McCabe lawyer Michael Bromwich said his team had received media inquiries about grand jurors declining to bring the case. Media inquiries. The FBI was accused, or what they did in the Inspector General report is basically leak information to the media all the time. So this is very likely just the media reports that... Isn't it interesting that the media reports that Andrew McCabe's lawyers received just happened to be that, well, the grand jury said no, there was no evidence, and pointed to published reports describing how even after the Justice Department approved prosecutors to seek charges, no indictment was returned. Bromwich noted he had, quote, no independent knowledge of whether the reporting is accurate. Why would you cite reporting? But suggested that if it was, prosecutors should abandon their effort. He wrote that, based on a Thursday discussion with federal prosecutors, it is, quote, it is clear that no indictment has been returned. This is public relations. We have no clue the prosecutors that he spoke with, that McCabe's legal team spoke with. So McCabe's legal team provided the Washington Post with a copy of the emails. These are emails about reports that they read that said that no indictments had been given. But the issue here is that we have no clue if first of all, let's just say there was something called a no true bill case, refers to a situation where grand juries are asked to bring an indictment but decline to do so. They would just then find a new grand jury. So they're trying to say, well, if this grand jury refused to indict McCabe, we don't want a new grand jury formed. Well, number one, DC is notorious for just being establishment. Notice how if it's anyone that Democrats don't like, they love state authority. They have no problem championing overt setup, just fabricated cases against Michael Flynn, George Papadopoulos, 30-plus people who were indicted just for allegedly lying to FBI agents. What McCabe did is under oath 3 times, much worse, and the Inspector General himself stated that there should be criminal prosecution. So it wasn't Trump But we'll get to that in a second. They keep saying, well, Trump, this is an authoritarian regime. It's like, no, what happened to Trump takes place in an authoritarian regime. They fabricated this absurd claim that he worked with Russia to buy Facebook ads and to hack the DNC to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated. But here, to bring charges against McCabe, prosecutors would have to convince 12 of 23 grand jurors that there was probable cause he committed a crime, a low legal bar. Even James Comey is willing to testify against McCabe. McCabe's up the creek without a paddle, so this is just a public relations stunt. This week, it seemed prosecutors were on track to do so. The panel that had been investigating McCabe was resummoned after a months-long hiatus, and McCabe was told Thursday that his final bid to persuade the Deputy Attorney General that charges should not be brought had failed. Okay, so, but grand jurors came and went with no public indictment being returned. We don't know what the situation is, though. That could be a sign they balked, though it is also possible they have filed a determination under seal or could be asked to return later. So that could be a sign they balked. If they balked, then they find a new grand jury, because the government is not going to, the Justice Department is not just going to let this slide. Or that could be a sign they balked, or that it is also possible they have filed a determination under seal or could be asked to return later. Or grand jurors never came and went Thursday. So, I mean, I find it bizarre that McCabe's legal team Wednesday would be denied, and then they expect a grand jury to give the decision Thursday. Anyway, McCabe and his team have waged an aggressive behind-the-scenes cabal to dissuade prosecutors from moving forward with the case. Prosecutors are already moving forward with the case. Bromwich cited some of that effort and noted that if grand jurors declined to bring an indictment, Justice Department policies would advise them not to continue pursuing the case. That's not true. The policies, Bromwich wrote, call for prosecutors to bring charges only if they, quote, believe the admissible evidence is sufficient to obtain and sustain a guilty verdict. Of course it is. James Comey with Jake Tapper on CNN himself. So here we have, number one, James Comey on CNN with Jake Tapper himself stated that he could be a potential witness. He's ready to throw McCabe under the bus. Okay? Number two, they can, worst case scenario, they could find a new grand jury. Okay? Because maybe this grand jury was tampered with. Oh, I don't know. God forbid. They got Manafort for tampering with a jury. So maybe this jury was tampered with. Who knows? Who knows? It's not Trump who recommended charges. It was the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, who said that he lied 3 times under oath. So, again, this is different from being set up and framed in the White House as a national security advisor, and Andrew McCabe and Peter Strzok saying that you lied. This is the entire FBI as an organization looking into your actions, which is what they did with McCabe, and finding that he lied under oath. So Inspector General referred findings on McCabe to U.S. attorneys for criminal charges. This is the Washington Post. This is April 19th, 2018. The Justice Department Inspector General referred his findings that former FBI Director Andrew McCabe repeatedly misled investigators to Washington's top federal prosecutor, who will determine whether McCabe should be charged with a crime. The referral to the U.S. Attorney's Office for District of Columbia occurred some time ago, and the Inspector General concluded McCabe had lied to investigators or his boss, then FBI Director James Comey, on 4 occasions, 3 of them under oath. That is called perjury with intent to deceive, they also add. It's a pretty open and slam dunk case. It's not rocket science. This is a better case than they had against Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn allegedly lied to 2 FBI agents, one of whom stated, "We will stop Trump." This is an obvious setup, and they obviously framed Trump from the very beginning, and McCabe was one of the key ringleaders factors, whatever. He was the person who tried to start a criminal investigation against Sessions to ensure that Sessions would recuse himself for conflicts of interest, yet McCabe's wife received hundreds of thousands of dollars from Democrats. It doesn't matter whether it was before the Clinton email investigation, during, or after. He was already compromised. It's a conflict of interest. Now, he got away with that, and he didn't recuse himself from either the Clinton email investigation or the Russia probe. But what he did was he leaked information not to hurt. So when one congressman said, "Oh, didn't it hurt Clinton?" Number one, Clinton was being investigated because there were crimes committed at the Clinton Foundation. He leaked information about the Clinton Foundation to the Wall Street Journal, an ongoing Clinton Foundation probe. Well, by the way, where's that? What's going on with that probe? So the congressman should. It's hilarious. Democrats always love to pounce on the fact that they got away with whatever criminal activity they got away with, but they never ask, well, wait a second. You're saying that McCabe leaked information to the Wall Street Journal to hurt Clinton. By the way, what happened to that Clinton Foundation probe that he leaked? Did they find criminal activity? Because Uranium One executives gave millions to the Clinton Foundation while the uranium deal was going down, and Bill Clinton met with Vladimir Putin at his home and got a $500,000 speaking gig. Anyway, this is a public relations stunt. What's taking place is they tried to get the Justice Department to drop charges, to throw away the case. Justice Department did not, has not, will not. It'll continue to try to prosecute. It will prosecute McCabe. So, it will prosecute McCabe. McCabe's indictments are imminent, whether it's next week, tonight, later today, 2 weeks from now. I don't care. If Tom Fitton is saying it, then it's going to happen. But this is a really interesting public relations stunt because they're going on media reports and a prosecutor they spoke with. That is not... Look, the media to Democrats, when it suits them, if it's the DNC emails, no, that's a Russian plot. Okay. But if it's hearsay, then that means it's true. If it's hearsay that it works for Democrats, whether it's Alexander Downer or whether it's the Steele dossier, well, we have to publish this. This is the media. If it's the DNC emails, no. You can't read those because the Russians want you to read them. It's like if it's President Trump saying, "Hey, these people framed me. Oh my God, an authoritarian." If it's Robert Mueller, who doesn't know who Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson are miraculously, and those are the same people who if it's Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson, and who are the same people who were outsourced by Clinton, and then Mueller says, I don't know who they are, they're okay with that. They don't see the irony. They don't see the travesty of justice there. Why a special counsel wouldn't know that everything that they've based their investigation on is predicated upon information purchased by Trump's direct political rival in Clinton. Now, and here's another story for my 13, 14-minute crowd. Okay, that the 5-minute or 2-minute crowd might not get. Let's just say hypothetically that McCabe is not charged. I wouldn't even for a second be like distraught, embarrassed, or because I'm saying the indictments have been imminent. I wouldn't for a second be. I would be obviously annoyed and frustrated, but I wouldn't for a second be, oh my God, like what's happening? Because then it would be an existential issue with the country. Like you're talking about an existential crisis. You're talking about overt criminality. Like it would be a bigger issue than just Democrats getting away with fabricating and setting up Trump and, any title I put, or whatever. It would be such a grandiose issue that I know people are going to say, oh, well, it's already there. It's like, okay, yes and no, somewhat. President Trump is president, so they didn't stop him from that. President Trump, like I said, the Mueller report or the Mueller probe did not stop President Trump. I stated that it was a bunch of nonsense in the very beginning, and it turned out to be a bunch of nonsense. So there's two ways to look at it. McCabe's going to get indicted. This is a public relations stunt. The reason I brought that up in a hypothetical situation with McCabe not getting indicted is that you can't lose sight of the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that Clinton is going to run. All of this is just paving the way for Clinton to run. They're not going to go with... It's just a simple process of elimination based on a fundraising mathematical model. They have nobody who can raise money, and they need to outraise Trump in terms of money 2-1, at least 2-1, because she lost $1.2 billion to $600 million. So they're not going to go with Warren, who wants to revamp. Warren and Bernie, they're not feasible for the Democrats. Biden doesn't even want to be president. Clinton's just waiting. She's going to run. Andrew McCabe will get indicted. Whether it's 10 grand juries or whatever, they have to ask whether the jury was tampered. If in fact the jury could not, a 12 out of 23 did not find enough information to indict based on an inspector general report. See, they indicted people based on the words of corrupt FBI agents. The inspector general, even James Comey, was like, "Oh my God, he said this. I'm exonerated." The inspector general is not a corrupt FBI agent like Peter Strzok. The IG report literally states he lied under oath 3 times with the intent to deceive. With the intent to deceive part is the perjury part. Okay? So, worst case scenario, assuming a grand jury was convened and they didn't want to prosecute McCabe, they can still bring a new grand jury, because it's not a matter of some FBI agent's words. It's a matter of the inspector general lying, and it's a matter also of McCabe, whose wife received close to $700,000 from Terry McAuliffe and Democrats. And Terry McAuliffe is a direct link to the Clinton Foundation. He's a top Clinton Foundation fundraising person, in addition to being a former governor, in addition to having his own controversies and criminal behavior of his own. But anyway, give me your thoughts below. There was an FBI criminal probe of McAuliffe, too. What happened to that? There's a Clinton Foundation probe of what's going on or what happened with that. So, this is all public relations, and it's just fodder for Democrats. But like I said, even the Washington Post is like, well, it could be accurate, it could not be accurate, who knows? It's almost certainly a public relations stunt by Andrew McCabe's team. If you look, it could be that they just simply didn't meet. They simply didn't meet. And it is Friday the 13th, so... So, even if a grand jury rejected charges, it is possible the Justice Department could continue pursuing the case, perhaps with new evidence or a new grand jury. So, there's declassified material that they have. They have the goods on McCabe. If they didn't give that grand, let's say, assuming that the public relations stunt is not a stunt, that it's accurate, that a grand jury didn't indict McCabe, they can declassify information. The guy is as crooked as Comey. He lied under oath numerous times with the intent to deceive. Why? Because he was conflicted. Because there was an obvious conflict of interest, which is exactly why he leaked the information to the Wall Street Journal, which James Comey said, and this is the kicker, this is the main thing here. You can condense everything, this 20 minutes, into... James Comey told him he could not leak. James Comey is on record, under oath, as saying, I never told McCabe that he could leak information. McCabe is on record saying Comey told me I could leak information. Right then and there, someone is lying. Okay? So he's not going to get away with this, because not only did his family receive hundreds of thousands of dollars from Democrats, which caused a massive conflict of interest, which is the intent to deceive part, because he leaked information to show that he was fair and neutral, to kind of create an aura that he was unbiased. But you have Comey, who is saying something that is the exact opposite of what McCabe. Comey is contradicting McCabe. McCabe is contradicting Comey. So right then and there, someone is not telling the truth under oath. So you have a whole bunch of issues. But this is a public relations stunt, and whether it's a new grand jury with new information, the government has declined to throw out the case. They're going to continue this. He might be indicted later today. He might be indicted on Monday. He might be indicted next week. But the guy committed numerous crimes that any other American would have already been indicted for. Give me your thoughts below. The indictments are imminent. Chill. Relax. Chill. Okay? My God. It could be later today, next week. Who knows? Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so very, very much.